Welcome back to Firepower. One wrong choice in your everyday carry can turn a life or death moment into a nightmare. Today we're cutting through marketing noise and calling out 7 pistols you should never carry as your EDC. This isn't about aesthetics or brand hate. It's about real-world failure modes, poor reliability, bad ergonomics under stress, impossible holster compatibility, and platforms with little or no parts or gunsmith support. If you carry a pistol for self-defense, you're carrying responsibility. Pick a gun that gives you the best possible odds when everything goes sideways. Here are 7 models and classes of pistols that you should avoid. What specifically goes wrong with each one, who is especially at risk if they carry one, and better, safer alternatives. First on the list is the Bersa Thunder .380. At first glance, it looks like a sensible compact .380, small, concealable, and marketed as easy to carry. The problem isn't the concept, it's the execution. The Thunder's frame and slide mass make it bigger than many 9mm micro compacts while offering only .380 level ballistics, so you get poor power to weight. More importantly for EDC, many Bersa models use a long double-action first pull or a heavy DAO trigger system that's unforgiving under stress. In a high-adrenaline situation, you need a short, predictable, and repeatable trigger to make a fast, accurate first shot and quick follow-ups. With a heavy DAO pull, you either pull early and miss, or you hesitate and lose the initiative. Service and aftermarket support are also limited compared with mainstream platforms, which means holster selection and repair options are sparse. Who should avoid it? Anyone relying on minimal training time, anyone who plans to carry daily in different clothing types, and anyone who needs a pistol that's forgiving when nerves kick in. Better alternatives: Glock 43, XMOS for absolute simplicity and support, or SIGP 365 if you want more capacity and a modern trigger feel. The Bersa is often cheap at the register, but that false economy can cost you when it matters. Next is the Kel-Tec P11 family and its various ultra-light, ultra-compact cousins. The P11 was designed to be cheap and lightweight, and it succeeds at both. Unfortunately, at the expense of reliable function for many shooters. Extremely light slides and frames can exacerbate limp wristing problems, especially for new shooters or those wearing light layers. If the frame doesn't provide sufficient mass and you don't have a firm grip, the slide can fail to cycle reliably with modern hollow points. Ergonomics on these guns are often poor. Tiny controls, sharp edges, and a grip that doesn't allow a natural hold for follow-up shots. Aftermarket holsters and support gear are minimal compared to the big names, which means you're often improvising a carry solution that's unsafe or unreliable. Who should avoid them? People who want a set-and-forget carry gun, those who don't train regularly, and anyone who is uncomfortable with marginal ergonomics. Swap to a Ruger Max 9 or Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, small, modern, and built on platforms with proven feeding and decent support infrastructure. The Remington R51 is next, an example of a firearm that looked great on paper but suffered production and design issues that made it a terrible EDC choice out of the box. The R51's unique action and slide geometry caused feeding and extraction problems in many early production examples. While Remington released later revisions, early models are famous for stovepipes, failures to extract, and inconsistent tolerance stacks. A pistol you can't trust to cycle every round is not an EDC. You don't want to be improvising tap-rack bang under stress because the design didn't get the fundamentals right. Additionally, aftermarket parts and support were limited during the troubled production run, so owners often found themselves waiting or paying for fixes that should have been unnecessary. Who should avoid it? Anyone who doesn't want to be a gunsmith in the field, and anyone buying used where serial number specific flaws are possible. Proven alternatives here are the Glock 43X or the SIG P365 family, both mature, reliable platforms with widespread parts and holster availability. Fourth on our list is the SIG P250 Compact in its DAO configuration, and other double-action-only strikerless designs in the heavy trigger category. The P250's DAO trigger is long and heavy, and while it was designed with a safety philosophy in mind, it's a poor match for people who need fast, accurate first shots and rapid follow-ups. Under stress, your fine motor skills degrade, and a long, heavy pull tends to either produce timid, ineffective shots or rushed, off-target breaks. You can get a gunsmith to modify trigger characteristics, but that costs money and time, and still doesn't make the platform as inherently usable as a modern striker-fired pistol with a short, predictable pull and crisp reset. Who should avoid heavy DAO pistols? Beginners, anyone who carries but trains infrequently, and people who expect to execute under pressure. Better picks are the SIG P320, striker-fired, or a CZP-10C, platforms designed for a short, repeatable trigger that helps you succeed when it counts. Fifth is the Taurus curve, a cautionary tale about style over function. The Taurus curve was a bold attempt to make a pistol sit flush against the body at the waistline, but its unconventional shape brought a string of usability problems: the trigger geometry, difficulty finding a practical holster, and awkward manipulation for reloads and press checks make it a bad choice for EDC. There have also been concerns about accidental activation risks in some carry positions and the overall lack of aftermarket support. In the real world, you need a pistol you can draw quickly, index to your grip instinctively, and reload without contorting your hands. The curve complicates every one of those tasks. Who should avoid it? Anyone serious about fast, natural draws or people who need standard holster options. Replace it with a standard metric micro like the Glock 43X or a Shield Plus, and you'll gain proven ergonomics and a huge holster market. The Ruger LCP2 is sixth on our list, a tiny, pocket-friendly pistol that seduces buyers with size but punishes them with control problems. The LCP2 and similar ultra subcompacts are extremely light and compact, which makes them easy to carry but very difficult to shoot well under stress. Muzzle flip on such small frames is extreme, and follow-up shots are slow and often inaccurate unless the shooter is highly practiced. Moreover, tiny controls can be hard to manipulate with gloves or cold hands, and reloading a micro pistol rapidly is a learned skill many casual carriers never master. These guns can be acceptable as a backup gun or for very experienced micro-carry practitioners, but they should be avoided as a primary EDC by most people. Who should avoid them? New carriers, anyone with limited training time, and those with average to large hands who struggle to get a usable purchase. Better options that stay compact but favor shootability include the SIG P365 series, the Ruger Max 9, or a Glock 43X. Finally, the wild card that eats more lives than any single model: cheap, poorly supported no-name imports and extremely low-cost pistols with no aftermarket or gunsmith support. These $150 specials may function in a benign environment, but cheap metallurgy, poor QC, and inconsistent tolerances make catastrophic failures more likely at the worst possible moment. The most dangerous part is that many owners buy these guns thinking they are saving money, until they need the weapon to run flawlessly, and it doesn't. If you can't source spare magazines, springs, or have a local gunsmith familiar with the platform, you're essentially carrying a disposable gun. Who should avoid them? Everyone who carries for self-defense. Spend the money on a proven brand with a track record and support. Glock, SIG, S&W, CZ, Ruger. And accept that reliability has a price. Now that we've exposed the worst EDC choices, let's give you 3 immediate floor checks to perform before you buy or carry any pistol. Step 1. Function test. Shoot at least 500 rounds of a wide spectrum of carry ammo through the exact pistol you plan to carry. Try factory hollow points, full metal jacket, and any specific load you intend to trust for defense. If the pistol hiccups on more than a few rounds during break-in or shows consistent sensitivity to a particular bullet profile, don't carry it. Step 2. Stress-driven drills. Test draw time, first shot accuracy, and follow-up speed from the holster at normal carry distances. 3, 7, and 15 yards. Introduce mild stressors like a timer or movement to see how your accuracy holds. If you can't get a reliable first shot and clean follow-ups under these conditions, change platforms. Step 3. Supply chain and holster check. Confirm there are reliable holster options, spare magazines, and local gunsmiths who will service the gun. If you can't find common parts in a reasonable time frame or a practical holster, that is a red flag for EDC. A brief note on training and legal responsibility. Owning a defensive pistol is a commitment to training and to understanding the legal and ethical use of force in your jurisdiction. Carrying a platform you don't train with is a recipe for tragedy. Know your local carry laws, secure your firearm safely when not carrying, and always treat it with respect. Non-lethal options like pepper spray or bear spray are legitimate tools in many situations and, in some environments, a better first choice. When lethal force is required, it must be reasonable, necessary, and legally defensible. To summarize, avoid pistols that force you to compensate for their shortcomings. Heavy DAO triggers like the early Bursa Thunder .380 variants, lightweight no-support micro pistols that are unreliable for many shooters like the Kel-Tec P11 family. Troubled platforms with documented feed extraction issues like early Remington R51's heavy DAO strikerless designs such as the SIGP 250 in DAO trim. Novelty designs that trade function for form like the Taurus Curve, ultra mini pocket pistols such as the Ruger LCP2 as a primary EDC for non-experts, and any no-name import with no parts or support. Each of these carries a specific, predictable risk in the field, and that predictability is exactly what makes them unacceptable for EDC. If you're still unsure which practical carry pistol fits you, here's a simple rule. Prioritize platforms with proven reliability, a short and repeatable trigger, a grip that fits your hand naturally, and an ecosystem of holsters and spare parts. Train with the exact ammo you intend to carry and test under reasonable stress. If you do that, you'll avoid the false economy of buying cheap and carry confidence instead of liability. If this breakdown helped, subscribe to Firepower. We'll be doing side-by-side tests of the Ruger Max 9, SIG P365, Glock 43X, Shield Plus, and a few micro-compacts next. Real drills, real malfunctions, and our real verdicts. Comment below what EDC you carry now and which of the 7 you've had experience with. We'll pick the most useful stories for a follow-up deep dive. EDC isn't fashion, it's life insurance in a pocket. Choose wisely, train relentlessly, and stay safe. This is Firepower.